Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Robuilt. I'm your host, Rob, and this is going to be the last video on the Robuilt YouTube channel. I'm bound to thank you for it. For 2020. All right. I know that it's 2021 now, but when I recorded the video, it was 2020, and then my laptop screen broke, and I had some delays getting the video out, so sue me. I'm gonna turn this little guy on. Oh, that's crisp. It's so quiet. Crazy. Like, legitimately, I don't even know if it's on or not. No, it totally is. It's just so quiet. And it's smelling extra fresh and crisp in here because today's episode is brought to you by EVERY, aka my very first sponsor ever, who will always hold a special place in my heart for believing in the Robuilt YouTube channel. I'm super excited to be partnering up with EVERY for this video, but more on them a little later. Whew, there is a lot going on, friends. Next week, I'm moving to Tennessee to build my 50-acre tiny house village. I just did a video on that a couple weeks ago. Be sure to check it out right here. I'll leave a link right here. I'm also just announced on my Instagram that I'm having another baby, and me and my wife Ashley and Isla Rue, we could not be more excited to expand our tiny empire, if you will. And then I'm wrapping up the renovation on my 1965 Airstream, which I post about that almost daily on my Instagram, so feel free to follow me on my Instagrams right over here. Just got a YouTube comment, actually. I'm gonna need you to host a class or a new playlist with how to renovate trailer without any skills and no money to hire someone. All right, well, speaking of hosting classes, my glamping course, I'm hoping is gonna be live by February 1st. I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be everything you need to know about setting up your own glamping business. I've also got another one coming out this year called The Fundamentals of Airbnb. So if you wanna learn more about those courses, sign up for my course email list down below. As soon as they go live, you will be the first to know, I promise. Bear with me, we're working on it. On a similar though, why can't I say similar? On a similar, what? All right, just take a deep breath. Every little thing gonna be all right, hey. On a similar note, I also offer consulting services, so you can book me for a 1-hour Zoom call. I'll leave the link in the description down below. We pretty much cover everything from how to build a tiny house to how to set up a glamping operation. If you don't feel like you have enough questions for a full hour consultation, feel free to ask me anything on Hey Hero. I just signed up for that, and it's gonna be a new way that I can connect with y'all. So let's get into today's topic, which is how to adapt your short-term rental business to this COVID thing, right? Us as hosts were hit very hard at the beginning of the pandemic, and it kind of forced us to rethink how we approach this business, right? All best practices and all experiences and all policies that we thought we knew kind of went out the window, and we really had to pivot how we approached hosting. Now, with that said, after I learned to adapt and I shifted my business model to really focus on these 5 tips that we're going to be talking about today, these last few months have really been the most successful I've ever had in my entire hosting career. All in all, December has literally been by far the best month I've ever had as a host. So with that, let's talk about how you can approach hosting. But before we do, did I just say that in an English accent? Before we do, if you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the little notification bell next to it so that you're notified anytime that I put out any new content. It really does help me as a growing creator on YouTube. It's something as small as that like button really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to go over and beyond, you can leave me a comment about what you think about the channel or what you think my new baby's name should be. Boy, girl, whatever. Leave it down in the comments down below. All right, let's get into tip number, am I in focus? I better be in focus because I'm having to re-record this weeks after I've recorded this because my autofocus messed up on me and I'm having to do it again. Admittedly, that got a little weird. Tip number 1, setting a long-term discount. Now more than ever, people are trying to break away from metropolitan cities in areas like Houston, LA, New York, San Francisco, and they're trying to seclude themselves and kind of escape the big cities, right? The fact of the matter is that now more than ever, people are looking to escape long-term. When the pandemic first hit, I was a little bit nervous about what I was gonna do and how my different units were gonna perform, but what I ended up doing was setting a long-term discount and discounting month-long stays anywhere from 40 to 60%. But you don't have to just discount month-long stays, you can also discount week-long stays too. And that might incentivize a family, a group of friends, a solo traveler to book 7 days versus 4 days because the value with 7 days is much better than 4 days because it's discounted. And this tip really led into a grander pivot. Shut up! into my short-term rental strategy. And that was tailoring my Airbnb listings to travel nurses and medical professionals. This is a really underserved niche, whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, when the pandemic first kind of hit, a lot of Airbnb hosts were sort of closing their doors to the medical community because things were a lot scarier back then, right? Like we didn't really know what we were up against. We didn't know how dangerous the virus was and all that kind of jazz. I mean, so was I, to be honest. And so I decided to double down and really try to seek out tenants in the medical community. Now, this is something that you have to actually opt into on your listing. As an Airbnb host, you can actually offer your place for free to frontline workers, or you can just apply a very hefty discount, which is what I chose to do. Now, there are other ways that you can actually appeal to the medical community other than a discount, and that's by doing things like tailoring your listing to make them feel like they're welcome in your home. Let's just take my LA tiny house listing, for example, and look at the headline. It reads, "Frontline workers are welcome in my tiny home!" And then in my description, the very first thing that I say is, "Are you a COVID-19 healthcare professional? Contact me prior to booking. There will be an additional cleaning fee, but I'm happy to serve the community." But they are my favorite people to host, and it's just because they do tend to take care of the space. They're gone all day working, and then when they come back, all they're doing is sleeping. So for the most part, some of the most low maintenance tenants that I've had. And then you got tip number 3, which I think is the most important aspect of hosting during a pandemic, and that's upping your overall cleaning game. The difference between a sparkling clean and a clean listing can make a really huge difference during a pandemic when people are being super COVID conscious. Now, I covered this a couple of weeks ago whenever I talked about how I manage my 10 properties from out of state, and I think that the number one investment that you can make is hiring a quality cleaning crew and paying them what they deserve, right? Paying them a living wage. If you get a quote from a cleaning crew and they say it's $75, don't try to nickel and dime them and be like, "Best I can do is $65. Because if they take the job after you've negotiated what they consider a fair wage, ultimately I think that they're gonna flake out on you and cause you to scramble in between turns, and that's never fun, or they're just not gonna put the attention to detail into the job. I can't stress this enough, but pay a fair living wage. People's skills are worth money, so pay the money, don't skimp out on this.
I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I can't stress this enough, but having a spectacularly clean listing, not only should it be your number one priority as a host, but it's also your responsibility as a host to provide a clean, safe space for your guests. And there are even other ways that you can go above and beyond the Airbnb enhanced cleaning protocols, which brings us to today's sponsor, EnviroCleanse. Makers of the EnviroCleanse Air System Plus, which is basically like the cat's meow of air purifiers. It's like the Ferrari of air purifiers, but not $100,000. Smells like it though. But really what puts EnviroCleanse at the top of their game is their patented air cartridge that's able to capture and neutralize 99.9% of viruses and bacteria in the air, which is basically like 100%. I'm gonna say it. If they're not gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. I can't say it. 99.9%. All right, I'm gonna go off script here and just say that my favorite thing about this is its ability to neutralize odors. Like, this is for real, okay? Ash is pregnant and she has like a super sense of smell. And legitimately, Ellie's kennel is typically right there. She cannot physically sit in this spot without feeling sick from the smell. I don't really know if this is the best way to get in the good graces of like EnviroCleanse, but well, actually maybe it is. I've never really believed in the concept of air purifiers. I think that they're like loud and expensive. I ran this last night to test the product. I just left it on overnight. And I promise you, when Ash walked in today, she said it didn't smell in here anymore. And she was like, "Why didn't we get one of these earlier?" And I was like, "I didn't know it existed." For real, this thing in an Airbnb would be so clutch to get rid of like those guest odors that like sometimes linger. So I know it's kind of gross, but I'm excited to have one of these. All to say, EnviroCleanse, big fan, like legit fan for what you did for my wife. So thank you. Tip number 4. Tip number 4, like this video. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding, like the video, but the real tip is to upgrade your internet, your Wi-Fi in your house to the fastest available speed that your service provider can provide. And the reason I say this is because now more than ever, people are digital nomads. A lot of professionals work from home now, like myself included. My office is literally not going back into the office until July. So me, just like millions of people across the country, are able to literally go book an Airbnb for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time and work from that Airbnb. Having fast Wi-Fi is really gonna be your competitive advantage against all other Airbnbs in your area. If you offer 25 megabytes per second and your neighbor offers 300 megabytes per second, and you're competing for the business of someone like me, like a YouTuber or someone that works in social media or an editor or a gamer or anything like that, chances are they're gonna choose the person with the fastest Wi-Fi. And also just really quick, to upgrade to like the fastest internet is usually gonna be a difference of like $20 to $30 per month. So hashtag Don't be cheap, you cheapie. I will be covering this way more in depth in my 10-hour How to Set Up a Glamping Business course and my Fundamentals of Airbnb course, so this is just a taste of what you're gonna get. Again, if you're interested in learning more about those courses, sign up for the course update list in the link down below. And then the final tip of the day, number 5, we made it. It's 103. Making your listing more family friendly. Guess what happens when a family of 5 or 6 gets cooped up in their small house for 8 months at a time? They book Airbnb so that they have a little bit more space so that they don't tear each other's hair out at home. So it really behooves you to appeal to them and make them feel at home, and there are a couple ways that you can do this. Let's start with the main way I do this, my favorite way of appealing to more families, and that's by providing a variety of board games in all my Airbnbs. And usually I spend anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks per listing on board games like Monopoly, Jenga, Sorry, Candyland, Exploding Kittens, all of that, because a lot of the times people have these at home, but they forget, right? Like they're not gonna play Monopoly at home a lot of the time, but it's really exciting when people are at an Airbnb and they see Monopoly or Jenga and they get super excited because they're like, yeah, this is family time. Like this is what it's about. It's about bonding, right? I can't tell you how many countless reviews mention the board games. It's honestly really touching when people like at my glamp site, for example, talk about, you know, sitting next to a fire with their kids and playing Candyland. Like that's something that people write, and it's really cool to be part of that experience. Another way that you can appeal to more families is by offering a pack and play or a stroller in your listing. It's really tough to travel with kids. Me and Ash just traveled with our sweet little Isla Rue on a plane. It's really tough. Like you have to have like so many bags. You have to have the diaper bag, you have to have the pack and play, the stroller, the child, pillows, like all that stuff, right? And it's just really stressful to travel with that. So if you offer that in your listing, like a stroller and a pack and play, that's 2 less things that parents have to pack for, and it really does give you like an advantage whenever they see that and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have to bring that? Boom. Count me in, instant book. Here's my Visa card, 337-554-32999, expiration 02, CVV code 337, mother's maiden name, longevity. What? Whose maiden name is longevity? If you know anyone whose last name is longevity, leave me a comment down below. And lastly, this is a really simple one, but it's offering streaming services like Disney Plus, right? I know it's not fun to pay $8.99 a month, or how much is Disney Plus? $12.99.
And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
Oh, actually, no, it's $6.99. It's $12.99 if you want ESPN. So yeah, you know, you can offer ESPN too because people like watching sports. Point being that a lot of the times parents like, you know, hitting autopilot, letting kids watch TV while they get dinner ready or while they get ready for bed. So advertising that you offer Disney Plus or Hulu Plus or whatever it is, that can be that final little nudge that someone needs to pick you over a neighbor down the road that is similarly priced with similar amenities. And that's it. That's 5 easy tips to adapt during the Corona Chronicles. You know, don't lose hope. There's still a way for your Airbnb business to recover in 2021 if you haven't recovered in 2020 yet. These are just the ways that I pivoted that worked for me. But if you have any tips for how your business or your Airbnb was able to stay flexible in the pandemic, let me know in the comments down below. Like, I'm always looking to optimize my own listings, and I get a lot of value from y'all and your tips. So as I said, this has been a record-breaking month for me, and success is possible during a pandemic. You just have to hunt for it a little bit. But with that, that will end today's video. Thanks again to EnviroCleanse for sponsoring this video. Genuinely appreciate that you believed in this channel enough to reach out. Does mean a lot to me. And for all of you at home, if you want to be an Airbnb host, sign up with my link down below and I'll be your ambassador and I can help onboard you onto the program. Like, subscribe, comment, plug. Follow me on Instagram, this and that. I'm moving to Tennessee, so if you've noticed that my channel doesn't have content for the next couple of weeks, that's why. But yeah. But yeah, I'll catch you on the next episode of Robuilt. I'm still here. Don't leave me.